Whether you're interested in social justice or environment or making democracy work, it all gets back to the same issue, which is how do you inject human values of sustainability and justice and caring for the present and caring for the future. How do you inject those values into the system? The environmental community in the U.S. has gotten stronger. The question really is whether it's enough today and it will be enough in the future. And my view is that, we're winning battles, but we're losing the planet. So that's the paradox, I think, that we all have to face. And it may lead you to different conclusions from my conclusions. But you can't escape the reality that simply doing more of the same, even a lot more of the same, we're still losing ground in the bigger picture. I've been working this summer to try to build this something called the New Economy Network, sharing the common vision that we need to come together to promote a transition to a new economy that gives priority, true priority, to people and planet. And I'm happy to say that we're making some progress and would love to have a conversation with you about it.
We're all not going to get it right away. It's going to come to people at different times. But again, like I've experienced this in my work, how do I get people to be concerned about an issue all the way in Chile, which is like thousands of miles away, a completely different country where people speak different languages, have a very different history? How do we get people, and I hate to use the word empowerment, but just make people feel like, as a consumer, they have a say? Because these big topics like climate change, people are not going to understand it. It's very far away. It's distant.
The solutions put forward by people that say we all just need to educate the public. We all need to take, as individual consumers, take action to change things. I think that's, as a solution, is fundamentally flawed. The community as a whole has to be involved together in a systemic transformation. Otherwise, it's impossible.
The focus within education, and even on a broader scale within society, has not and truly has never been placed on the education of individuals when it comes to environmental issues. And just speaking from my perspective as an educator, I did my best in my classroom to let my children know what was going on with the environment. But listening to Mr. Tucker rant and rave about recycling, which isn't really even that important to them. It doesn't take place on a regular basis. The school doesn't have a recycling bin. Their neighborhood doesn't have a recycling program. It's not reinforced on a regular basis. What is environmentalism to them?
Oh, but I'm a little optimistic that something is afoot in terms of changing. What do some of the others of you think? Are we locked into this, to this consumerism, or is there some hope?
I think it's very generational. Being 50, being of the most consumerist generation probably that there ever has been, I think we have a generation that are now in their 20s that are ready to be activists who don't have the same focus on materialism and consumerism. They're just not as interested. And I think they've got a much more informed focus on what we need to do in order to make significant environmental changes.
That kind of forum gives you a way of gauging where people are intellectually and also what their assessment of the world is, which is really what we were talking about.
I mean, we're moving now from a manufacturing economy into a technological economy, but we have countries around the world that are moving from an agrarian economy into industrial and manufacturing. They want to move their economy forward, but they have to take those steps first, and those steps, unfortunately, do damage.
I know coming back to school for me has been really exciting to get to talk to my peers about these pressing issues, environmental issues. Last time we were talking about journalism and the plight of newspapers. So just talking in forums and bouncing back ideas is really exciting. I really like it.
Because we had this water crisis in Georgia, right? And it was an excellent opportunity to really get to work on that. And our leadership was maybe not the best, unfortunately at the time, and it just turned into a war really between the states. But it was really a crisis that was there, and people did stop watering their lawns because they had to. They didn't have a choice, because really it was down to you can't drink water tomorrow if you water your lawn today. But I mean, it didn't really last, unfortunately. So I think that the crisis is important, and if we would have had the leadership that we needed, we could have really done something there.
Can you have a virtual crisis? Can you create, is it possible to have a sense of crisis, of imminent crisis, without having to really have things?
If you get CNN on board.
We had Katrina and we still are having,
So you think it's going to take a real crisis, maybe? Huh?
There's a real disconnect, and I think there's a real, if you don't see, like William was talking about with the kids who are learning about environmental issues, or you're trying to teach them environmental issues, if they don't see it, they don't understand it. And I don't know, in the community I am in, where, some people can't pay for their heating bills throughout the winter, and, the heat gets shut off at some point in the coldest month of the season because they just can't pay for it. I don't know how the crisis can get any worse than that. And
I really enjoy getting back to the books, having an opportunity to immerse myself in education. Learning is something that I have a deep passion for, and just becoming a student again is really fulfilling that thirst that I had for gaining more knowledge and becoming a more well-rounded individual.
I think we somehow need to frame the debate in terms of just having a future for humans on the earth. I think it needs to be more universal and less cause-focused. I think that I understand that people like to work on the little causes, and I mean, that's where you can feel like you're making a difference. But still, by working on all of these fractured causes, we're never coming together and focusing our efforts on changing the way that we're thinking about economic growth, choosing to do something that perhaps is not economically beneficial to the country, but is an environmental necessity.
Well, I've enjoyed talking with all of you. It's been fun. It's really a bright group, and I wish you well in your first year.